So good morning everyone. Today's topic which I am going to discuss is about design engineering. As you know, SDLC life cycle, they have communication, next collection of the requirements, next analysis the requirements, analyzing the requirements. After analyzing the requirements, we'll have a plan, and after having a planning to that, next we will go for a design phase where the architecture of the requirements or the data which we were collected will be formed in a form of a design. And here, so that is what we will do in the design engineering. In this design engineering, we should follow the design techniques, various design models, and using the design models, we will construct a high quality product. So if the design is good, then the product, whatever we are building, the final product will be of excellent quality. So now here the introduction to this design engineering. So here when you are doing this design engineering, we will follow some set of principles, concepts and practices which leads to the high quality product, as I already said you. Now next, creative plans. Creative, whatever the creativity we are using, that creativity plays an important role in this building a good quality software. Now, which stands in two words. First one is human resource and also technology. So technology and human resources both depends upon a good quality design. And design engineering gives commodity and delightfulness. So the building, whatever the product you are building, that product will be for the production in this commodity. Now let's design within the context for software engineering. What you will do. As I said, you design begins from taking the data. So design engineering should always begin with the consideration the data, whatever the data we are collected, and the data is the foundation of building a good design for all the elements whatever we are building. And this design form a architecture, and that architecture will perform under different design tasks. And what you will do, all the each of the element of the analysis model, in analysis model whatever the elements you are taking, that analysis model will provide information for the necessary design. And for that necessary design, we will take 4 design models in order to do a specification, complete specification of a design. So here analysis model means it may be scenario based data, it may be the data which is collected from the components, the data which we are previously collected. This all comes in the analysis model. Whatever the thing we are collecting in the requirement space, that comes under the analysis model. And from this analysis model, 4 different types of the design models has been created. So data or class model, architecture design, interface design, and component level design. So that will be shown in the following diagram. See, here you can see analysis model, you have scenario based elements, flow oriented elements, class based elements, behavioral based elements. Scenario based elements in use case activity diagrams will be here. Data flow control and control flow will be in the flow oriented, and class diagrams and collaboration diagrams will be in class elements. Behavioral means state chart diagrams will be in behavior elements. So this all comes under the analysis model. From analysis model, we will use 4 design models in order to construct or in order to complete an perfect design. And that 4 design models, as I said, use data or class design, architectural design, interface design, ID means CLD means component level design. Now we will discuss about each and every design model. So here, data class design. What is data class design? See, he transfers analysis or class models into design class realization in this data class design. And the important data structure required to implement the software will be developed here. Whatever the data collected, transformed analysis and class models will be taken in design class realization, and an important data structure required to implement the software will be developed in this data class design. Architectural design is all the major structural elements will be taken in order to relate this to build a perfect software in the architecture design. So relation between elements, we will take different elements in order to construct an architecture, and that relation between each and every element will be specified in this architecture design, which are required for the building a software. Now interface design means how the software is interacted with the humans will be explained in this interface design. And last one is component level design. In this component level design, as I said, you in order to build an architecture, we should have a structure, and that structure will be built within different types of elements. So that elements will be explained, each and every element will be explained with a procedural description in order to build a software component. So this will be done in this component level design. So collected elements which are used for the software architecture will be explained into a procedural description of software component. Now, design process and design quality. So, software design is an iterative process through which requirements are translated into blueprints for constructing a system. Means whenever you are collecting the data, requirements means collection of the data, that data will be translated in the form of a blueprint with a print, or you are giving a structure. So, blueprints for constructing a system. So, as like when you are building a model of a car, first you will go for blueprint of the car. If you are satisfied with the blueprint of the car, then you will go for the development of the product of the car. So the same thing happens here also. Whenever you are building a software, first you will collect all the requirements you want, and that requirements will be have a blueprint, and that blueprint will be constructed in the form of a system. Now here, throughout the design process, the quality of evolving design is assessed with a series of formal technical reviews. Here you have formal technical reviews, means each and every phase, whenever you are doing the design process, each and every phase the review will be taken, so that you will have a good quality design, and finally with the good design the product will be also good. So we will do FTRs, formal technical reviews. Now, characteristics of good design. See here you have three characteristics of good design. First, see, in order to prepare a good design, first whatever the requirements you are collected, all the requirements given by the customer should be implemented in the design. Oh, okay, I will implement all the requirements collected by the system customer in my design. But here, when you are implementing all the requirements given by the customer, you should see whether the requirements are understandable by the developer or not. Because if it is not understandable by the developer, who is involved in the project, then he cannot do the project perfect. So the requirements given should be understood by the developer, whoever involves in the project. And finally, you see that entire requirements given, entire thing given, and which is understood by the developer, should be provided with a complete picture of the software, so which will be easily developed. Now, quality guidelines. So here should be exhibit architecture. Design should exhibit architecture. Yes, design should show entire architecture of the system. So which will build a good quality of your system. So it should be modulated, and it should represent the data, architecture, interfaces, and the components. Whatever the, as I said you, the design, whatever the design which is you are building should give an entire data which you are collected, the architecture and the interfaces what are you using, and the components which you are using here. And the design should lead to data structures which are appropriate to the classes to be implemented. What you are implementing, what are the classes, that entire data structure should be given in the design. Now, see here, should lead to components which exhibit independent functional characteristics. So whenever you want to build a good quality design, so each and every component which you are using in this design should exhibit the functional characteristics of the independent functional characteristics. What is that element is doing? That entire thing should be explained. Now, should lead to the interfaces that reduce the complexity of the connections between components. So when you are connecting different components in the external environment, the complexity should be reduced by seeing the design. The design should be derived from the information obtained during software requirement analysis. As I said you, whatever the data we are collecting in the software requirement phase, that data should be, entire data should be present in the design. So should represent the notations that effectively communicate its meaning. So you should use different notations, you have different notations, and you should see that whatever the notations you are using that have a meaning. So which can communicate it. By seeing that notation, I can easily understand this notation is used for so and so purpose. So that is the quality. Now next we will discuss about quality attributes, which is called as FERPs. Okay, FERPs: functionality, F for functionality, U for usability, R for reliability, P for performance, and S for supportability. So this is the concept FERPs, which can easily understand by a name. Now functionality. So what is this functionality? This is an accessed by evaluating capability of the program functions that delivered and security of all our system. So whatever the system you are building, the evaluating the capability of the program. What is the capability of the program? What are the functions that are derived there, and how the security you are providing to overall system will be accessed in this functionality. Will be explained in this functionality. Next, usability. So after functionality, the C, usability means we should consider here all the human factors. So accessed by considering the human factors, entire human factors will be considered here. Overall consistency, and also we will have a documentation of that thing whatever you are building. Just reliability is evaluated by the measuring the frequency of the failure. How many times the failure will occur, and mean time to failures. What is the time, mean time taken to occur a failure? Then accuracy of the results, output results, ability of recovering those failures. So this entire thing will be explained in the reliability. It's evaluating the failure cost, okay, mean time, and occurrence of output results. Okay, next, ability to recover those failures. So how the failures you are eliminating that thing will be explained here. Now performance is measured by the processing speed, response time, throughput, efficiency, etc. So the processing speed of the system, the response time it is giving, throughput of it, and efficiency. And you can take some other examples for the performance. Supportability. Supportability, extensibility, adaptability, service maintainability, testability, compatibility. See, whenever you are building a product, you should see future supportability. You should give future supportability to the product also. So how can you do extension to that product? How can you adapt it if you have any problems with it? How the service is given to that problems, and how you are testing it, what is the compatibility of the product. That entire thing comes under the supportability phase. So these all are quality attributes. So folks, now next we will discuss about the design concepts. Design concepts. Abstraction means data. As you know, abstraction, all you are bringing the data, entire data, collecting the data together and keeping it one place, and here data plus procedure plus control. So this entire thing comes under the abstraction phase. Here procedure, so sequence of instructions that have a specific and limited functions. See here procedure, as I said you, data means a door, procedure means in order to go inside the room, the procedure is to open the door. So here procedure will be the open the door in the form of a door, and the data will be the door. Yes, as I said you, whenever you are taking a function, what is the sequence of the process that is going in order to use that function, that will be comes under the procedure. And what is that function you are taking, that comes under the data. Now here procedure, sequence of instruction that have a specific and limited functions. So as I have given example, it is a opening a door. Data means collection of the data that describes a data object. So door will be the data object. Here you can see in this abstraction, data abstraction and procedural abstraction. In data abstraction, you will take the data object. In procedural abstraction, what is the procedure? In order to explain that data object will be given in the procedural abstraction. You can see in this diagram. So door is the data object you are taking. Door, manufacturer, model number, type, swing, inserts, this all comes under the data structure. This entire thing comes under the implemented as a data structure. So data object is door and data structure is light, type, weight, opening mechanism. This all comes under the data structure. This comes under data abstraction. Explains about the data object. Procedural abstraction means what is the procedure you are using to explain the data abstraction will be given here. Open the door is a procedure. So details of enter algorithm. So implemented with knowledge of the object is associated to enter. How the object will enter inside the room. That will be explained in this procedural abstraction. So next, architecture. So overall structure of the system, it can be represented in the following models. Structure models, framework models, dynamic models, process models, and functional models. First, we will discuss about structure models. Organized collection of program components, all the program components which you are collecting, that comes under the structural models. Framework models, which increase the level of design abstraction. Dynamic models address the behavioral aspects of the program architecture. Process models focus on the design of the business or technical process. So functional models, it represents the functional hierarchy of the system. So first one here, you collect an all collection of the programming components will be done there. Next, how the level of design abstraction is increased will be explained in framework. We should increase design abstraction here. Then what are the different behavioral aspects are used in order to program an architecture will be explained in dynamic models. Focus on the design of the business or technical purpose. You are using business purpose or technical process. This will be explained in the process model. Functional models, it represents the functional hierarchy of the system. Now pattern. So intent. So the intent of it is provide a description that enables a designer to determine whether the pattern is applicable to the current work, whether the pattern can be reusable, whether the pattern can serve as a guide, functionality and structural different patterns, pattern name, intent. So means, see, whatever the pattern you are following, so the designer should enable to determine it. You should see that whatever the design I am building, whether it is used for the current work, current purpose we are using it or not. Whether whatever we are building it can be used again and again or not. And you should also see whatever we are building should have an guide for development. Similar like functionality, structure, and different patterns. So it should contain pattern name, what is the intent of it, also known by it, what is the motivation of it, what is how it is applicable, how the structure is given, who are the participants here, how the collaborations are done, what are the consequences you are using, what are the related patterns which are already present regarding same like the pattern we are using. So that is the thing we are using. Next, we will discuss about modularity. Modularity is a single attribute of the software that allows programmable to be intellectually manageable. So here, the programmer can intellectually should be manageable about that software, whatever he is building. So monolithic software cannot be easily grasped by a software. So a software engineer cannot know about entire software. So he should do hard work in order to grasp the software content. Now, the number of control paths you are using, the span of differences you are using, the number of variables, overall complexities, make understanding to impossible things. Then in almost all instances, you should break the design into many modules, hoping to make understanding easier. If it is in a single module, the understanding of the design will be very tough job. So that design, whatever you are building, there should be divided into different modules so that it can be easily understanding, and the different consequences of the design will also be easily understandable to you. And also it reduces the cost required to build a software by this. How it will reduce means, if you are building a design in a big module without dividing it, then whenever you are building it, they may cause some problems, which again go for the reconstruction phase where the cost of the product will be increased, and again you should go from the beginning. When otherwise, if you are dividing the design into different modules, each module will be built separately, and afterwards you will combine the modules. So each module is checked for formal technical reviews without any errors. Then after combining all modules together, then you will go back to the check. If you have any problem also, that particular module can be removed and it can be corrected, and again you can place in the location whatever you have removed from wherever you are removed. So in this way, you can sort out the issue where the cost will be reduced. Whereas a big module, the cost will be more if you are going for again and again for the same design reconstruction. Now, what are the advantages of it? Development can be easily planned. Software increments can be defined here. Changes can be easily done. Testing is easily done. Long-term maintenance is also easy. As I said, when you are dividing this design into different partition modules, and it can be easily understand, and these are the advantages of it. Development will be easily planned. Software increments can be defined. You do anything, changes if you want to do it, you can do here. Then testing can be also easily done, and long-term maintenance will be also there. Now, information hiding. Information hiding means hiding the information here. Hiding means effective modularity can be achieved by defining a set of individual modules that communicate with one another. Only the information necessary to achieve software function. See, here you have different modules which are divided by and each module will be under construction. And here, if you want to give any information to one module about other modules, the required information will only be given to from one module to the other module. Entire information will not reveal. The other information will be hide. So only the required information required for other module will be shared here, whatever the functions the other module want, and others will be kept in the hiding phase. So that is about the information hiding of a module. Now, see, this is the information hiding structure. Here you can see a module, control interfaces, clients, and secret of the information, and algorithm, data structure, details of external interface, resource allocation policies is all present in the module, and this is the specific design decision which is kept secret. Only the required information which other module want will be shared here. Other information will be kept in the secret, a specific design decision. So that is about the information hiding. Next we will discuss about the functional independency. So here we have discussed about the concepts of abstraction and the information hiding. So it is a direct growth of modularity and the concepts of abstraction and information. All the concepts, modularity, concepts of abstraction and information hiding. This is access using these two criteria, this functional independency, concepts of abstraction and information hiding. In abstraction, you will discuss about data abstraction and also procedural abstraction. When it comes to information hiding, as I said, you will discuss about the hiding the information from one module to the other module. Now here these both criteria are used, and we will discuss about the functional independency. Here you have the cohesion, coupling. So it is the important concepts. So cohesion, what it module performs a single task, require little interaction with other components in other parts of a program. As I said, the cohesion means here you have different modules. If you want any information about the other module, the required information will be only shared. Little interaction will be taken in this module from one module to the other module. That is called as a cohesion. Only the required information sharing will be done in this cohesion in the other parts of program. So types of cohesions you can see: coincidental cohesion, first example, utility classes; logical cohesion, example you can take keyboard and mouse. Next, temporal cohesion, function which is called after catching an exception; procedural cohesion, function which checks the file permissions and open the file. Then communication or information cohesion, module which operates on the same record of the information. Sequence cohesion, reads data from a file and process data. Functional cohesion, lexical analyzers are the functional cohesion. These are the different types of cohesions which you are using. Coupling, indication of interconnection among the modules. So how one module is connected with the other module will be explained in the coupling. So in cohesion, so as you know, here in difference between this cohesion coupling means coupling in cohesion will have a little interaction between the modules. Here within the modules you'll have an interconnection. So that will be explained in the coupling. Types of coupling: common coupling, external coupling, control coupling, stamp coupling, data coupling, message coupling, and no coupling. So now next we are discussing about the refinement. It is an top-down strategy. Its process is to elaborate the object, and it helps to reveal low-key details of a design process. So when you are taking an object door, you are explaining the procedure of that object. That procedure, you are giving the detailed procedure to work with that object. That entire explanation of the detailed procedure will be explained in the refinement phase. You can see here in the opening a door. Take the same example. In order to open the door, I should walk to the door, I should reach the knob of the door, open the door, walk through the door, and again I should close the door. Means opening a door is a procedure. In this procedure, how the procedure is going to be done, that will be explained in this refinement course. So process of a design, process of the door is to open the door, and how that opening the door is done, will be explained in this refinement phase. So here, next one is refactoring. In this refactoring, it is a process of changing software system in such a way it doesn't alter the external behavior of the code, it improves the internal structure. So here what you will do means when you are building a system, here if you want to do, so here if you want to do any change into a software system, the changes will be done, but the changes will be done in such a way it won't change any behavior of the code, or it won't change any internal structure. Just the software is refactored to the existing design XML. So nothing changes will be done, but just alteration will be done in such a way that it can work in the existing system. So here it can be examined by redundancy, unused design elements, inefficiency or unnecessary algorithms, the poorly constructed or inappropriate data structures, or any other design failures can be corrected to yield a better design. So this is about the refactoring. So refinement explains the procedural design, how to do the procedural abstraction. Refactoring explains here we can do changes to the software, but the changes will not do any alterations to the code of the software or internal structure of the software. Just like you can take some qualities or existing designs like examine. You can see redundancy, unused elements, inefficiency, poorly constructed, and any other design. Now, next, design classes. So we have 5 different types of design classes: user interface classes, next business domain classes, process classes, persistence classes, and system classes. So first one is user interface classes. It defines all the abstractions that are necessary for a human-computer interaction. In order to interact with the human, whatever the necessary things a computer is doing, that all the abstractions will be given in the UI classes, user interface classes. Next one is business domain classes. These classes identify attributes and services that require to implement the elements of a system domain. In the system domain, whatever the elements you are implementing, that will be explained in this business domain classes. Next, process classes implements lower level business abstractions required to fully manage the business domain classes. Whatever the lower level business abstractions we are using, that entire thing will be explained, that will be whichever fully managed by the business domain classes in this process classes. Persistence classes means whatever the data you are storing, that comes under the persistent classes. System classes means implement software management and control functions which you are using, that comes under the system classes. Next, after design classes, we will discuss about design model. So the design model can be viewed in 2 dimensions. So this way which is shown in this figure. First one is design model and analysis model. So here you can see the process dimension indicates evolution of design tasks or executes the process. Whatever the software process part the design is done will be explained here. Dimensions. The abstraction dimension represents the level of detail each element in the analysis model. The elements of design model may use in same UML diagrams that used in analysis model. Whatever the UML diagrams you have seen, that diagrams will be used in the analysis model. You can see here you have different partitions, dimensions of design model. These are, you have different partitions, architecture elements, interface elements, component level elements, and deployment level elements. And this again divide this abstract, one is process dimension, other one is abstraction dimension. Abstraction dimension is divided into two type parts, and process dimension is divided into 4 parts. In abstraction dimension, you can see analysis model and design model. In process dimension, you can see architecture elements, interface elements, component level elements, and deployment level elements. Again, you can see the partition of abstraction dimension in analysis model and design model. In analysis model, you can again see UML diagrams which we are using there, and in design model, the UML diagrams we are using. For each and every process dimension phase, we will have different UML diagrams which we are using. First one, you can see architecture element phase. In architecture element phase, you can see in analysis model class diagram, analysis packages, CRC models. Next, collaboration diagrams, data flow diagrams, control flow diagrams, and processing narratives. This all comes under UML diagrams. Now, next, design classes, realization, subsystem, collaboration diagrams, requirements to design class, realization, subsystem, collaboration diagrams. This is design model. This comes under architecture elements. Now, next comes interface elements. In this interface elements, you have use case diagrams, activity diagrams, formula diagrams, collaboration diagrams, state chart diagrams, and sequence diagrams. And here, next part, you have technical interface design, navigation design, GUI design. Next, component level designs, you have class diagram, analysis, CRC, collaboration diagrams, DFDs, CFDs, processing narratives, state diagrams, and sequence diagrams. And next, we have component diagrams, design classes, activity diagrams, sequence diagrams, which requirements to component diagrams, again design classes, activity diagrams, and sequence diagrams. And next phase is deployment level phase. In deployment level phase, you have constraints, interoperability, targets, and configuration. And here design class realizations, subsystems, collaboration diagrams, component diagrams, design class, activity diagrams, sequence diagrams, and which are requirements to deployment diagram. So this is the dimensions of the design model. We have two dimensions, the abstraction dimension, the process dimension, and how again they further divided, and what the partition has been done, how the different UML diagrams we have used in these partitions is explaining this diagram structure. Now, next one is data design elements. So here, whatever the elements we have seen, architecture, that further elements, data design elements, here we will discuss now here. Data design creates a model that is represent high level of the abstraction. So specific representation we have. First at component level, what we will do, at application level, what we will do, at business level, what we will do. See here, at component level. The design of data structure and its associated algorithms required to manipulate them in essential to create a high quality application. So in component level, we will design the data structure, it associated algorithms, and whatever the thing we are used in order to manipulate them to essential creation of high quality applications is used in a component level. Yes, in application level, the translation of the data models into databases to achieve business objective of a system. In order to achieve business objective of a system, that will be done in the application level. Next one is business level, the collection of information stored in database and reorganized into data warehouse in this business level model. So next comes architectural. So data design elements are done. Now next architectural design elements. In this architectural design elements, these design elements gives us overall view of a software, like floor of a plan. If you want to build a house, the plan of the house will explain entire house structure. The same thing here also in design elements, it gives an overall view of the software. In this architectural design, architectural model is derived into three sources. First one is information about the application domain. What is the information you can give about the application domain? Next, specific analysis model elements such as data flow diagrams, DFDs. Next, availability of architecture patterns, what we are used in this architectural design will be explained in this architectural design elements. Now, next, interface design elements. In these interface design elements for the software, tell how the information flow into out of the system and how they communicate among the components defined in the part of the architecture. Means if you have different systems, how the information between all the systems and out of the system is done, and also how the components are communicating with each other will be explained in this part of architecture. So there are three important elements of interface design. First one is UI, user interface. I already said you user interface. The design of UI incorporates aesthetic elements and technical elements. Means aesthetic elements means graphics. So whatever the color, layout, graphics you are giving, that for UI will be explained in the aesthetic elements. Then ergonomic elements means information layout and placements and metaphors. Whatever the information you are laying out, and what is the placement of that thing, and what are metaphors used will be explained. Ergonomic elements. Next, technical elements, UI patterns and reusable components. What are the components you can reusable? Whatever the user interface patterns you are using, that will be explained. Here also you can take the example of a construction of a house. In order to construct a house, you require the plan of a house. So in order to have a plan of a house, first you want to a print of that, which is done in the form of a layout, colors, and graphics. And afterwards, you'll have information layout and placement, means where which room is placed, where how you are arranging the everything, doors, where your windows, everything. So that entire thing will be explained in information layout and placement and metaphors, aerodynamic elements. Technical elements means how user can open the door, how can he is entered. Then if you want to do any changes, where you can place what thing, how the door is again placed, can it can be removed and placed again somewhere else. So this all things comes under this technical element. This is about UI. Now, next, external interface. So this interface requires definitive information about the entity to which the information is sent to or received. So internal interface. External interface is the interface outside. Whatever the information you are sending outside or which you are receiving from the outside, that comes under the external interface. Next one is internal interface. Internal interface means this interface design elements allow the software to communicate externally and enables internal communication and collaboration among the different software architecture. It also design elements to allow communicate externally and also enables internal communication and collaborations among the software architecture. Here you can see the example. I have taken a mobile phone, the keypad of the mobile phone, control panel, wireless PDA, how they are mobile phone and wireless PDA. How the keypad of it is used, how control panel, and from control panel what is the keypad interface it is used, means internally and externally both how it is done will be explained in this thing. Okay, that is about external and internal interface. Now till here I have discussed about this thing, and next we will discuss about component level design. So that is the